Hi everybody and welcome back to Lost Genre Reddit Stories. This post is from the subreddit Am I the A-hole? Would I be the A-hole public? And it's by user Deleted. Am I the a-hole for calling my sister-in-law an evil human being? So I, 32 female, was really close to my brother's previous wife, Lindsay, fake name 30 female. We met through mutual friends and I introduced her to my brother, Jake, 31 male, 8 years ago. They dated for 2 years and then married and were happily in love. My family all loved Lindsay and we spent a lot of time together. After 2 years of being married, Lindsay told me that Jake and her wanted a child since they first got married and she had just found out she was pregnant. I was so excited because my brother is my only sibling. I couldn't wait to have a niece or nephew. They found out she was having a little girl and wanted to name her after her nan, as her nan raised her and had a really unique name, Zerlina. Unfortunately, at 21 weeks pregnant, Lindsay was hit by a drunk driver and passed away. The baby wasn't viable and they said they couldn't do anything to help. My brother was devastated, as was the rest of the family. He fell into a depression pit and we tried our best to help him out. My dad took him on days out, fishing, etc. My mom made basically all of his meals, and I paid his bills for 11 months because he kept falling behind. It all seemed to get better when he met Gracie, 29 female. Gracie was a nice person. She is the sister of his old best friend from middle school. They got married after only 3 months of dating, and we were shocked. They eloped and nobody knew they were married until they posted a 1-year anniversary post on Instagram that my cousin saw. She never seemed to like my side of the family, keeping us all blocked and refusing to come for family meals, etc. I know my brother speaks about Lindsay sometimes to Gracie. My brother organized a family meal which in itself was a shock. It took place at his house and included my parents, my brother and his wife, and her parents. They stood up after everyone had eaten and told us they were pregnant. We were excited for them and told them so, but in reality, I had a bad feeling in my stomach. 10 weeks passed and they do a gender reveal with balloons. We all patiently waited until the balloon popped and out came pink confetti. Gracie ran into Jake's arms and proclaimed, "We finally can get our Zerlina!" I was immediately shocked. How dare they disrespect my dead best friend like that? Everyone went silent and Gracie finally noticed that nobody was celebrating after 20 seconds of being in pure bliss. She saw how mad I looked and asked me what was the matter. I exploded, telling her she was a horrible person, how I hated the fact she did this, and she was an evil human being for using my best friend's chosen name for her baby that didn't make it. I gave a lashing to my brother saying that he disgusts me and the name is him spitting on Lindsay's grave. I left after this and have been getting messages on my phone saying I handled it incorrectly, with my mom saying that me handling it like that was the one disrespecting Lindsay, as Jake is trying to honor Lindsay by naming their baby Zerlina. Am I the a-hole? Well, OP, of course I can understand how hurt you were at that moment, and you are not the a-hole for being hurt, but you did kind of lose control on the delivery. To me, you weren't trying to actually be mean, you were just caught up in all the emotions. I mean, the name Zerlina isn't just any name. It has a meaning, it has a memory, and it's tied to Allah's and the pain. And I gotta say, I half buy this reason of honoring your friend. So again, OP, not the a-hole for being hurt. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comment section, and now let's check out the community comments. Amethyst Ditch says, not the a-hole. How does naming a new kid Zerlina honor the original? It's like Gracie is trying to overwrite his past life. I'd be disgusted too. At least someone is honoring Lindsay and thinking of what she would have wanted. GonzoTech77 said, you handled it poorly, but what a creepy thing to do naming a child like her dead sister. Right to Teach says, gentle, you're the a-hole. I feel maybe you were so busy helping him, you forgot to mourn for yourself and it exploded out badly. Get some trauma support. They may have had beautiful reasons for the name, it's just everything is different from the first time and I'm sure that's making your trauma worse. It was your best friend, not just his wife, your niece, not just his daughter. I can't imagine, but holding it in isn't helping. Raccoon Renaissance says, "You're the a-hole. You've completely disregarded your brother in this entire post. His new wife wouldn't even know the name Zerlina if your brother hadn't told her. He's obviously okay with naming his child this. I realized Lindsay was your best friend, but she was your brother's wife and mother of his unborn child. He was more important to her than you were. This isn't about you. It's not surprising they eloped. Start mending fences or you won't be a part of your niece's life." Long Jumping Pick 706 says, "Not the a-hole. I literally said holy crap out loud when I read what she said. I lost a child at 24 weeks. I am also divorced. If my ex and future new partner used our son's name for any child they had, I would be appalled. I myself would never give another child his name. Your brother's behavior is revolting. It is not an honor. He is literally replacing his deceased daughter as if she never existed." And OP comments, "Just wanted you all to know that Gracie has just texted me using Jake's phone telling me that she has seen this post. She has made her own post. I won't comment on her post as she has the respect to not comment on mine. I'm pretty sure it's most likely on this group. Just wanted to put it out there so you can all read both sides." Well, the vast majority agrees that OP is not the a-hole, and we're moving on straight to the sister-in-law's post, which was deleted and recovered by a Redditor. This post is also from the subreddit Am I the a-hole, Would I be the a-hole public by a deleted account. My sister-in-law called me an evil human being. "Hi guys, my co-worker has shown me a post about my situation and I wanted to give you my side. I've been given the name Gracie, so I think I'll stick with it and call my sister-in-law Maggie. It's a long one, but I'm giving all the context. I met my husband Jake, again, during a support group. We first met as he was friends during middle school with my big brother. His sister has signed him up to the support group and I was there as my cousin, who I was extremely close to, had just passed away from cancer. We became closer and began dating, but didn't tell anyone as when we first started officially dating, it was on Lindsay's first year anniversary. The reason Maggie and I have never got along is because she has never treated me like family. She has a little boy, and when Jake and I first started dating, I offered to babysit him. She rejected me and said he was going to spend the night at her husband's mother's house, which made me feel like chopped liver. My husband, then boyfriend, told her she treated me like rubbish, and she messaged me saying it was nothing personal, etc. I immediately blocked her and her parents as they agreed with her about it not being personal, but I know they just did not want me to be a part of their village. My husband and I agreed to elope, and I only posted about it on Instagram on our first year anniversary of being married. Jake's cousin saw this post, Sandy, and told her aunt and uncle about it, which ultimately meant the whole family knew about us being married. Whatever, I had to get over it, and Sandy and I are still quite close. I knew about Lindsay, but didn't know what happened about the baby. My husband never spoke to me about it, and I never even knew the name Zerlina at this point. Even years on, he didn't feel comfortable talking to me about it. I won't admit I did get jealous because his sister would come over and just hold my husband when he had breakdowns, mostly on the day of Lindsay's birthdays, etc., and just sob about losing his wife and little girl. He would never tell me the name of his baby, and one day I got drunk with Sandy and she spilled all the beans about how Lindsay and Jake met, how they grew together, and what they wanted to call their little girl. I fell in love with the name Zerlina. I know it's from Lindsay's nan, who has now also passed away, so who would really mind if I used the name for my own baby? I found out I was pregnant 3 months later, and when we announced it, we had decided if we had a boy, he would be called Thomas after my dad, and if it was a girl, she would be called Rosie after the roses Jake proposed to me with. I couldn't stop thinking about the name Zerlina though. I never brought it up to my husband though, as he wouldn't agree, and I know it's because Maggie had been speaking about what life would be like if Zerlina was alive when she was drunk on the anniversary of Lindsay's death. It was my baby though, so I should be able to choose what to call my own child. We had the gender reveal at my house, and when the balloons went pink, I leapt for joy and told my husband we finally got our Zerlina. Everything went silent. Maggie looked distant, but there was anger in her eyes. She walked up to me and said I was a disgusting human being and an evil one, and told my husband that it was disgusting. The party was ruined when she left. Everyone was silent and didn't know what to say. My husband looked horrified the entire time. When the last guests left, he turned to me and said, "I never ever told you the name of my first baby girl." My heart broke. We've not spoken since it happened, and I'm thinking of leaving him. I can't have my baby raised in this environment. I can't have a husband who hates me. I can't have a sister-in-law who doesn't treat me like family, and I can't handle it. It's my baby. I should be entitled to call my baby what I want to. Am I the a-hole? Well, we all know the answer to this one. Yeah, you are the a-hole. Now, original OP didn't give us just one update, she gave us many. So we're gonna move on to the first 3 updates curated all together. My brother has apparently read both of our Reddit stories, as my sister-in-law has shown him. I don't know what has gone on in their house, but my dad is bringing him to my house for the night, as apparently Gracie has chucked something, I think the sign saying Rosie that he made, at him. I have already apologized to him for also targeting him when he was blindsided as well, and I'm going to be groveling with apologies when he gets here for saying such horrible stuff towards him when I thought he knew about the name. He spoke to me on the phone and told me he wanted to do marriage counseling with Gracie, and he wants us both to go and see a grievance therapist, as we both agree we have not dealt with Lindsay's and the baby's death properly. We've made a lot of mistakes, but hopefully it gets sorted. The main issue that my brother wants to speak about with Gracie is getting her to like Rosie, even telling me he's willing to call the baby any other name but not his first baby's, as he would never want to replace his first child. He wants her to realize that while Lindsay was a big part of his life, Gracie is no less important than she is. I myself, I'm going to try and have a word with Gracie in a public setting of her choosing, and we both just get it all out in an adult-like manner. I will apologize for cussing the ruckus in the gender reveal, and hopefully we can move forward from this. Update 2. My brother has spoken to Gracie and they've had a serious discussion. What I've been given permission to say is that Jake told Gracie's brother what has happened, and her brother informed their parents, who apparently tore Gracie a new one. Jake and Gracie are getting a divorce, but will be co-parenting, sharing a little girl who will be called Rosie Zerlina. Gracie wants her side of the family to call the baby Zerlina, whilst my side of the family will be calling her Rosie. Jake is currently living with me while he finds a new place to live, and Gracie is living with my cousin Sandy. They are putting their house up for sale and splitting the proceeds. That's life, I guess. Hope you all have a good day. Thank you for all the comments, good and bad. I've reflected on my part, and my brother and I are closer than ever. We start our therapy sessions next week for him, and the week after next for myself. Update 3. Hi guys, it's been 9 months since my last post, and I thought I'd give an update. I'm now the auntie of a beautiful girl called Rosie Zara, and she is absolutely incredible. My brother and Gracie do co-parent, and although they had issues at the start, they've been putting it all aside for their daughter. My brother currently lives in his own place, a 10-minute walk away from me, and he just celebrated Rosie's first Easter with a silly little egg hunt, mostly for the adults, lol. Hope you all are having a fantastic week. Alright, well, Opie's brother is now divorced, and the baby did not receive the name Zerlina in any way. So now, let's skip to the future to just a few days back, where OP gives us our last post before her account is deleted. Hey guys, it's been 6 months since I last updated on this app. I posted a while ago about my niece Rosie after a massive debate between my brother Jake and his then wife Gracie over her name, as she wished to use the name Zerlina, which was the name his late wife wished to use on their unborn child. Anyways, I called the cops on Gracie. My brother and Gracie had been co-parenting very well. They either did drop-offs or pickups in public areas, or had a family relative from either side of the family there to join them. Rosie is still under a year old, so she doesn't really understand the whole situation yet. They do 3 days with one parent and 4 days with the other parent, then swap the next week. It was a week my brother had Rosie for 4 days, so from the Monday to the Thursday. and on the Wednesday, my brother got called for an emergency at his job. He called me and asked if I could watch Rosie for a little while he went and sorted it out. I said yes and picked up Rosie as I adore Rosie and my children love their cousin. One of my children calls her Love, which is the funniest thing I have ever heard a young child say. As I was cooking dinner, I heard my children watching Rosie in the other room. I had the baby camera so I could see and hear everything that was going on. In my kitchen, there is a side window, and in the window, I caught a glimpse of Gracie. She has been spying on me, watching her child. She ran away as soon as I locked eyes on her, and when I phoned my brother to explain what happened, he sighed and said she kept threatening to do this when they were talking about joint custody in the first place, as she feared for her child's safety. I know the bare gists of the custody agreement, such as the days, but other than that, I don't know how often Jake and Gracie talk to each other, etc. When Jake came to pick up Rosie, I put my children to sleep and went outside with my husband to make sure everything was okay. Gracie had smashed garden decorations in her haste to get away, and I caught it all on camera. I phoned the police and explained the situation to them. I'm not sure what happened next, as the police told me they were looking into it, but I received hateful messages from Gracie's friends and family calling me a selfish woman for being a mother myself and not understanding the need to protect your children. My brother seemed also disappointed as he is sick of fighting. I'm just nervous as this shows she knows where my husband, children, and I live. I don't know if I did the right thing, or maybe should have left it as I would have liked to know if my child was okay if I couldn't see them for 4 days straight. And after that post, OP's account was deleted. I could only recover these posts. Now, in this case, what would you do if you were in OP's position? I think I'd probably file charges. What about you? Let me know in the comment section, and now let's finish this video with a mood booster post. This post is from the subreddit Malicious Compliance, and it's by user MD Lapla. Creepy Dean asks creepy requests. IT complies. Around 2000-2001 in Argentina, I did a network admin course. The guy that taught the course was also an admin in a university. Let's call him IT professor. And he told us this story. The department of the university's IT professor worked for dealt mostly with philosophy and philosophy-related careers. And it was around 95% female students, mostly high school graduates, but also a lot of people that, once retired, started their career as a hobby. In Argentina, university can be free of charge. In Argentina, IDs are numbered in sequential. So, for instance, if an ID starts with 28 million, you can estimate what year that person was born in. There's only one caveat. Foreign-born people that have gained citizenship get a number that starts with something like 80 million. The dean, let's call him Creepy Dean, at the department was a 50 to 55-something-old dude with, you guessed it, a pretty creepy behavior. IT professor could access the browsing history of every single person in the department, and let's just say his wasn't pretty nor university related. Creepy Dean taught a couple of mid-career courses. He was one of several professors that taught these courses. Every year, each university assigns the students to the courses they ask for and divides them between all the available professors. Sometimes this is done by hand. Sometimes it's randomized somehow. This is handled by each department. In this case, it was done by a computer program that randomized everything, so each course had a wide array of different students. This program was something that IT professor created because prior to that, this was done manually. One day, Creepy Dean calls IT professor and tells him, "I want in my course just female students with IDs starting at 35 million or more. Get it done." And remarked to IT professor that his job was on the line if he didn't comply. Since 95% of the faculty was female, this is a creepy request, but Creepy Dean knew that it wouldn't be as notorious. He could always blame it on chance, and at the time, this behavior was not something that could have gotten Creepy Dean fired. But the university board members wouldn't be too happy about his behavior either. IT professor understood that 35 million or more on the ID was for people that were roughly 21, 22 years old or younger. Creepy Dean wanted some eye candy and who knows what else. But Creepy Dean just said female 35 million or more. So IT professor complied. He assigned all foreign female students with IDs starting 80 million and all older than 65 to Creepy Dean's courses. Creepy Dean was furious the first day of classes. He wanted IT professor fired. IT professor told him, "I've complied with your request, even though it was weird and something that I'm sure the board members wouldn't be happy to find out about." IT professor told us Creepy Dean got dishonorably discharged as dean a couple of months after this story. There were some speculations, but he never found out exactly why. Wow, Creepy Dean wasn't just creepy, he was corrupt. Good for the IT professor, took that corruption and threw it right back in his face. Thanks for sharing, OP. And that's it for today's video. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch it. Now, if you've gotten to this point in the video, I assume that you like these stories that I'm reading out. So here are a couple more that you might enjoy. And if you don't have any time to watch another story right now, save it for later. And also, don't forget to hit that subscribe button.